My name's Kayla, and Eternal Sunshine by Ariana Grande reflected my life. When Eternal Sunshine first dropped, it was like I think March 8th. I was in my room going through a really nasty argument with my ex-boyfriend, and I had I think gotten over like a crying fit. Went and looked, saw that she had dropped the album, and yeah, I turned it on. It was interesting. It was one of those albums that like I was waiting for. She had a lot of like publicity out. Like I knew that she had just like broken up with her ex-husband, and I was kind of waiting. A lot of people were talking about her. There were a lot of things in the media, so I had personally been waiting for that project to drop because I wanted to see what she had to say. So Eternal Sunshine, the first album, it came out and it had this really interesting song to it. It was intro, End of the World, and it asked a really interesting question. It said, like, if the world were to stop and like the sun were to stop shining, basically, if the world were to end, would you think about me and would I think about you? I thought it was a really interesting question. I had been in a relationship with somebody who wanted to seek marriage and wanted to essentially spend the rest of their life with me. And I had been talking with my family and, pastors about it. And so it was just kind of interesting to listen to a song and it asked such a viable question. And when I brought that question to the boyfriend that I was dating at the time, his reaction was so visceral and negative. Um, and it was just it kind of like foreshadowed like the end of a relationship, not really understanding how music can touch a person, and kind of foreshadowed my own breakup. I was in something that I thought was super healthy, super right for me, but that question kind of haunted the both of us once I listened to it. And with the Brighter Days project, it was like an answer. It was like looking at the reflection of all the things that I had done in my life. It all the songs on that deluxe album said all the things that were in my head, the relationship being over, how sad it was, how difficult it may have been to move on. They just kind of spoke to exactly where I was at that point in time. Kind of opened my eyes to what I didn't really understand. What drew me to both of the projects were probably the artist. Ariana Grande was one of those people that I watched her grow up throughout her career. I used to want to be a singer, and so I used to study her music a lot. I also watched, Victorious, iCarly. That was like my generation of TV. And so one thing I've loved about Ariana Grande as an artist, being somebody who used to want to do music, she was always very honest with her feelings. She was always very wear your emotions on your sleeve. And I was a person who grew up feeling deeply. I still feel deeply to this day. But she always did a very great job of just kind of telling me about myself in a way that maybe I didn't know, or a lot of her music formulates some of the real thoughts that I have in a way that's catchy, interesting to listen to. But with these projects specifically, I felt like I was kind of being talked to. With Brighter Days Deluxe, I feel like that's the last 6 months of my life in 6 songs. The album I would say I relate more to is the deluxe album, Brighter Days Ahead. I think I'm in a space more where I'm trying to, transition more for me, leaving things like old relationships in the past, the ideas of what I used to think I wanted for my life, the marriage, the kids, allowing myself to kind of slow down and enjoy what I have, enjoy the kind of new relationships that I'm bringing, allowing them to not define where I am in my life like the way I used to. So yeah, it's a brighter album. I think it's a more honest album to where I am. Eternal Sunshine, when it first came out, I think it was a foreshadowing. It was because it was a breakup album. It wasn't necessarily where I thought I was in life. I think it just kind of opened the cracks to a relationship with not a really heavy foundation. But Brighter Days is like my mirror looking back at me. I relate to Ariana Grande. So I think I relate to Ariana Grande because she feels deeply. In her song Hampstead, she says, I would rather feel everything than nothing every time. And that's something that I've struggled with all my life. My dad used to call it like my superpower, my ability to feel and empathize with people deeply. But that's one of those things where if you can't control it, you kind of are all over the place, don't really have enough balance with yourself. And I watched when Manchester happened. I watched when Mac Miller died. I watched, from an outside perspective, I watched Ariana Grande be in a similar position where you're just kind of, your mind's all over the place. It's reflected in your music. You're never really happy. And now I'm watching her, do this Wicked movie, and she's amazing. She's like the happiest she's ever been. She's producing this amazing music, getting back to her roots, getting back to her family. And while I'll never know this woman, and she'll never know me, and I'll never truly understand some of the things she went through, I watch somebody struggle for years and years and years, and they're finally getting like their time. And I feel like I have struggled in certain areas of my life for years and years and years, and it's finally getting easier. Music touches me so deeply because it's probably one of the best ways that I think I can communicate. I feel deeply. I'm someone who has pretty big emotions, but I hate it. I think it's like the most crippling thing to have. They show up everywhere. They're showing up right here, like in my interview. But music does all that for me. I don't necessarily have to, speak as much. And I think that's what I like about Brighter Days. I don't have to explain what these songs mean. It's very clear. It's in her writing. It's in her music. It's in the notes. So I would rather rely on music to explain, kind of where I am in my life than having to kind of do it myself. If I could speak to Ariana Grande, I would say I'm so proud of you. I really did. Like I think it's weird, when some people have like intimate relationships with celebrities. I definitely don't have that. I don't think like she'll ever, even see this little project. But if I could say something to her, I would say that I'm proud of her. I just watched a lot of people be like really, really mean to her, and the Victorious thing came out. It's just so much, like so many things happened, and I watched someone really struggle, and I just really, really enjoy watching her be happy, do things that I know that she loves. Music heals me because I had it all my life. I started singing when I started talking. I did, choir growing up, so I think I'll just always go back to music. I think it's easier than doing just a lot of other things. Yeah, it's something I can't live without.
That is all of your
Oh
questions
God,
for
thank
the
God.
end.
I like
This
the
was a
ending. It's something I just can't live without.
this was a
That's a
horrible